Make the ground shake.
Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Gummy, and today we are back for another statue tutorial, one of the last FNAF sister location ones, which is a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. I know a lot of you guys really do enjoy this series, and I know a lot of you guys don't, so it's a positive and a negative, and hopefully, again, as I said, there'll be one last video. Going to be working on a design for a special character who is also a huge pain when it comes to designing, so stay tuned for that. It might be a while, as I said, but we'll get there eventually. So today we are doing Bonnet, or Bonnet, whatever you want to say. Bonnet sounds more of a French, if you get my drift, but Bonnet I'm going to call it. Essentially, Bonnet is in FNAF sister location. It's like almost like a little hand puppet. Now, you may be asking, if it's a hand puppet, why are we making a full-size statue? And it's because it's interpretation is the word I guess we're looking for. I've done it before in the past when Mangle first came out. I made a fixed version of Mangle, which turned out to actually be the character model for Funtime Foxy, but that was long time before. So this is essentially what I'm doing, is making a character model. I know a few people have made 3D models on DeviantArt of this character and stuff like that. So essentially this is what I'm doing. I'm teaching you how to do it. Personally, it's just because I know a few people wanted just to add another statue to the collection, another one, and some people just wanted, I guess, the fun of building a new statue to design. So that's what I'm doing, and it was a lot of fun doing, so that's why we are here today. So essentially, this is very, very similar to the original Bonnie model that we've done several times, Spring Bonnie, you name it. It's just a different colour scheme. So if you want to go and watch the other tutorials and recolor it, feel free to do that. However, in this tutorial today, I'll be going step by step, showing you how to build a Bonnet or Bonnet statue. So the blocks you are going to need this, it's more than one, so I don't know why I said block. The blocks you're going to need are magenta clay, pink wool, black wool, grey wool, red wool, block of quartz, bone block, and lime wool. Now, a little bit about bone block. And this is something I found interesting. Someone on a video not too long ago suggested I use this for the teeth texture. I think it's kind of a good idea. It's a bit more of, not necessarily a yellowy colour, but it's not quite as bright and reflective as quartz. So it works quite well as a block for teeth, because of course it's meant to be bone. The only reason I've started using this recently is because it's only just been added to console, but it's a very nice block. So I think we'll play around with it today and see how it goes. If you don't have access to this block, just use quartz. It works literally the exact same. So anyways, let's get straight into building. We're going to start off by building the front side of the legs, which is a 12 by 8 area. So we're going to find a nice empty space, and we're going to start off by placing the first layer, which is 8. So of course each layer is 8 blocks wide, there's 12 in total, that'll give us our 12 by 8. We're going to build from left to right, and after every single layer I'll show you what it should be looking like and give you an opportunity, I guess, to pause. Okie dokie. So the first layer consists of 1 pink wool, 1 magenta clay, 1 pink wool, 2 magenta clay, 1 pink wool, 1 magenta clay, and 1 pink wool. And as you can see, that is the first layer. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 blocks wide. That is indeed the first layer. The good news is the second layer is the exact same. So we do 1 pink wool, 1 magenta, 1 pink wool, 2 magenta, pink wool, magenta, pink. So again, exact same as the first layer, and that is the second layer complete. Now, if it couldn't get any easier, it just has. The next 6 layers is 8 magenta clay, so literally plain magenta, literally. I don't want to say that too much because I don't want to become a meme, but it is indeed just solid magenta. So that is the first layer. Of course, we're going to do 5 more, so that is 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our 6th layer. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and our 6th layer. So 6 layers of magenta clay, again each layer being 8 wide. So that is the first 8 layers of 12 complete. For the 9th layer now, what we're going to do is going back to the left side, we're going to start off by placing 3 magenta clay, 2 black wool, and 3 magenta clay. As I said, that is the 9th layer. For the 10th layer, we're going to place 2 magenta clay, 1 black wool, 2 magenta clay, 1 black wool, and 2 magenta clay. For the 11th layer, we're going to place 2 black wool, 4 magenta clay, and 2 black wool. And then for the final layer, which is the 12th layer, we're going to place 1 black wool, 6 magenta clay, and 1 black wool. As you can see, that is a 12x8, that is the front side of the legs, and if you want to pause, feel free to do so. And then we're going to start making some progress on the front side of the body, and then ultimately the arms. Okie dokie. So, moving right along, what we're going to do is come up to the top left corner of where we left off on the 12th layer, and on top of this, we're going to place a magenta clay. From here, we're going to one block to left using magenta, one pink wool, and two magenta. So essentially, there should be a 4-block overhang on the left side. On the right side, we do the exact same, so we basically repeat. We go up one, to the right one using magenta, one pink, and two magenta. And essentially, as you can see, that's a 4-block overhang on the left side and the right side. And essentially, what that is doing is marking out where the hands are going to go, or should I say more specifically, where the arms are going to go later on in the video. But we're not going to worry about that for now. We'll come back, as I said, after we've done the body and worry about that then. It's essentially just a little tip, a little shortcut, so you don't have to come back later on and figure out where everything goes. It's already lined out for you. So anyways, ignoring that, let's go straight back to the body. So we've got one block on the left, one block on the right. This is essentially the two body blocks we have so far. What we're going to go ahead and do is place 6 magenta clay in between, and that will give us our first layer of the body, which is the 13th layer overall. On top of this, we're going to start off on the left side again. We're going to place 2 magenta clay, 4 pink wool, and 2 magenta clay, and that is indeed our second layer. Now we're going to do things a tiny bit different here, and it makes things a tiny bit easier. What we're going to do is for the next layer, we're essentially going to leave one block, place 1 pink wool, leave 4, place 1 pink wool, and 1 gap as well on the side. So essentially we have a pink wool connected diagonally to here, and a pink wool connected diagonally to here. Essentially what we do is on top of each one, we're going to build up 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and same on this side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So essentially, it should be 8 blocks tall. What we're then going to do is link them together by placing 4 blocks in the middle, and as you can see, it will give you something that looks like this. So essentially, it is 9 blocks tall and 6 blocks wide. However, we're punching out the corner in the bottom left and bottom right and leaving it like this. Now, what you could do is place a row of 4 here just to make it symmetrical. Doesn't really matter though, because this part's going to be covered up anyways later on. Go ahead and fill the middle section, so in between the lines, with solid pink wool. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is fill it around it, should I say, using magenta clay. So again, just to recap, in terms of dimensions, we've got the first layer here of the body, which is the 13th layer overall. We've got the 14th layer, the second layer, which has got the 4 pink wool in the middle, so 2 block gap on the left side and 2 block gap on the right. We then go up diagonal to left and up diagonal to right, and we have an 8 tall area on each side, and then we link in the middle at the top. And again, you don't necessarily need this, but if you just want to make it symmetrical, then you are more than welcome to do so. Anyways, what we're now going to go ahead and do is go back to the left side and start off where we left off before, which is these 2 magenta clay blocks here. So essentially, all we're going to do is build up 10, because we want it to be a 12x8. There's 2 blocks already there. 12 minus 2 equals 10. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and same on the right side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and what we're going to do is just link them in the middle by placing 6 blocks in between. That'll leave a 1 block gap on either side, simply fill it in. If you haven't placed the pink wool here, it will look like this. Just go ahead and fill the whole layer in, but of course I'm just going to leave it like that, just so it looks nice and symmetrical. So yeah, essentially that is the body complete. That is a 12x8. However, it's not complete, I lied, because we're going to be adding some 3D effects. But before we do that, I'm going to show you a little trick, a little tip to make sure that everything is going correctly. So essentially, I've told you right now, it is 24 tall, 16 wide, 12x8 for the legs, 12x8 for the body, and 12x4 for each arm, but we haven't built the arms yet, so let's not worry about that. Essentially, what I'm going to show you is if you're on console, grab yourselves a map. If you're on PC, press F3 on your keyboard. If you're on mobile, I believe map works as well. So I'm not 100% sure about that, but it would make sense if the map works. And essentially, what you're looking for is your Y coordinate. You can see here, top of the map, we've got X, Y, and Z. We're looking for our Y. So, of course, X and Z are your directions, and Y is your height or altitude. So, what we're going to do is fly to the bottom. So we're not really going to fly, we're just going to take a nice seat on the floor. As you can see, my Y level is 5 when I'm sitting on the floor. Yours may be different, so please do bear that in mind. If your Y level on the floor is 10, then of course you're not going to add the same amount. Well, you will add the same amount, but you won't get the same result, so bear that in mind. So essentially, as I said, it's 24 tall. Essentially, what we want to do is add 24 to 5, which gives us 29. In your case, again, do 24 on top of your number. So it will be Y plus 24 equals whatever that is. So if it's 10, you're looking for 34. If it's like 15, you'll be looking for 39. That kind of fun. So we're looking for 29, as I said. So if we fly up to here and take a seat on top of the statue, as you can see, Y29. So that tells me, guaranteed, that this is indeed 24 tall, and that's definitely a useful tip to bear in mind and use in the future to make sure everything is the right dimensions, because if it's not the right dimensions at this point in the video, you're only going to make it worse if you go back and continue building and then come back later on and realize that it's one block too short, because then you have to demolish everything and it's not fun. So make sure it's all good. 12 by 8 for the legs, 12 by 8 for the body, and 12 by 4 for each arm. But anyways, in regards to each arm, we're going to start off with the left arm first. So we're going to start off on the first layer. We come to the 13th layer of the build, go 4 blocks to the left if you haven't already done it, and that will consist of, from left to right, 2 magenta, 1 pink, 1 magenta. The second layer is 1 magenta, 2 pink wool, 1 magenta. The third layer is 4 blocks of magenta. The fourth layer is 4 blocks of black wool. The next 3 layers is 4 magenta, so that's 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to cap that off with a layer of 4 black wool. So currently it should be 8 blocks tall. So essentially it's in 2 sections. A section of 4 by 3 of magenta with a bit of pink wool, a layer of black wool to separate, another layer of 4 by 3 of magenta, and a layer of black wool to separate. On top of this, we're going to build 4 layers of magenta, so it will be a 4 by 4 square, and if everything has been done correctly, it will come up to the same height as the top of the body. As you can see here, it meets up perfectly. Now the good news is the right arm is the exact same, just flipped over, mirrored. So if you want to copy it yourself, feel free, but I'm going to go through it nevertheless, just in case anyone was a tad confused the first time. So just like before, we come to the 13th layer of the build, aka the first layer of the body. We go 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right. That will be 1 magenta, 1 pink wool, 2 magenta. The next layer is 1 magenta, 2 pink wool, 1 magenta. The third layer is 4 magenta. The fourth layer is 4 black wool. So again, that's the first 4 layers. The next 3 layers is going to be 4 magenta. So again, that's 1, 2, and 3. And just like before, we're going to cap it off with a layer of 4 black wool. Once we've done that, we place a 4x4 of magenta. That will bring us all the way up to the top. And just like before, will bring us to the exact same height as the top of the body if everything has gone to plan. So anyways, once you've done that, you'll have something that looks like this. That is again 12 by 4 for each arm, 12 by 8 for the body, and 12 by 8 for the legs. However, there is one thing we're going to add, and that's some 3D effects, because right now it's looking a bit plain and a bit boring. So in regards to the 3D effects, we're going to come to the top left corner of the body, which is this block right here. As you can see, it will be in line with the sides of the legs, and same for the right side. We come to the top right corner of the body, which is this one here. You're not going to place a red wall, I'm just doing that to mark out where it goes. Essentially, if you're going from the top, just leave a 4 block gap on each side, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will, I guess, point out where the sides are. What we're going to do is on the left side, we're going to leave this block, and to the right of it, we're going to place 1 red wall. So we have 1 block gap, 1 red wall, and same on the right side, 1 block gap, 1 red wall. So essentially, there should be a 5 block gap, 1 red wall, 4 block gap, 1 red wall, 5 block gap. What we're then going to do is on the left side, we're going to go down to right up, and on the right we go down to left up, and that gives us 2 2x2 squares. We're going to link them in the middle by placing 2 red wool on the lower half. Leave this block, or 2 blocks should I say, empty, because then it's going to give it a more of a bow tie shape. So, in regards to the lower layer, we come to the second block, and we're going to go down 1, and we also come to the 5th block, and we're going to go down 1. Once you've done that, it will give you a shape that looks like this, and that's going to be our little bow tie, or that's what's going to represent, should I say, the bow tie. Now, the second 3D effect we're going to build, and one thing I do want to specify again, is this is built on top of. This is not replacing, this is a 3D effect. So make sure you place it on top of what's there. And just like before, as I said, this pink wall here is covered, that's why you didn't 100% need to place it. But again, just if you wanted to, it's cool anyways. So in regards to the button we're going to add, we come to the 2 center blocks here. So in between the 2 red wall, there'll be 2 block gap. we're going to count 1, 2, 3, and on the third block in the 2 center blocks we're going to place 2 black wool, and underneath that we're going to place 1 black wool on the left and 1 grey wool on the right. So that is going to represent the 1 button, and I guess the grey just represents a bit of shading, a bit of texturing, whereas the black wool itself is the button. And again, there'll be a 2 block gap between the button and the bow tie, and it will end up looking something like this. So that is essentially what the front side of the body looks like when you have completed it. So again, I'll give you guys a brief second to pause here if you need to do so, and I'll also go a bit closer just in case you want a closer view. So again, this is the front side of the legs, 12 by 8, the front side of the body, 12 by 8, and the front side of each arm, 12 by 4. Okay, very nice. We are making good progress. What we're going to do now is start focusing on the sides of the body and making this 3D. So we're going to come to the bottom left corner of the build, come around to the left side, and we're going to expand 1, 2, 3 to left using magenta clay. Now the beautiful thing about the side of this build is it's very simple. So we got the first layer. What we're going to do is 10 layers of magenta. So we got the first one done. We're going to do 9 layers of 3 magenta. And you may be asking what the dimensions are. The dimensions of the side of the leg are 12 by 4. However, the fourth layer is already done, this one here, which means you're only placing 3 blocks per layer. So hence I said 10 by 3 rather than 10 by 4 because we've already placed the fourth block. In regards to the final 2 layers, for the 11th layer we're going to place 3 black wool, and then for the 12th layer we place 1 black wool and 2 magenta, and that is the left side of the leg complete. It's very, very simple. This black wool up here just represents, I guess, the hinges in the animatronic or the endoskeleton, and yeah, it's just very, very simple. From side angle looks like this and gets the job done. Now the good news is the right side is the exact same, so we come around to the right side, and we're going to go from this pink wool, 1, 2, 3 to the right. Same logic applies, it is indeed a 12 by 4. Fourth block already done, so we're going to do 10 layers of 3 magenta. Our 11th layer is going to be black wool, and then our 12th layer is going to be a combination of the two. So that is the first 10 layers done. For our 11th layer, we're going to do, again, 3 black wool, and then for the 12th layer, 2 magenta and 1 black wool. Head on looks like this, and then from a side angle, like this. So that is, again, a 12 by 4. If you want to pause, feel free to do so. And then we're going to start making some progress on the arms. Okay, so for the arms, we come around to the rear side, and we come to the bottom layer. What we're going to do is get our magenta clay and bring it 1, 2, 3, all the way back, all the way across. Essentially, that gives you a 4 by 4 square of magenta clay from underneath, and we're going to do the exact same on the other side. And essentially what this is doing is giving us a building platform, and then from there we're going to expand up the side and complete it. Okay, so from the side, again, currently looks like this. We have our 4 by 4 platform, and we're going to start work on the left side. Now, just like we had with the legs, the fourth layer, or the fourth row, should I say, is already done. Now, the good thing about this is for the side of the arms, whatever block is already at the side is whatever block's going to be there. So, if that makes sense, essentially, what we're going to do is have a matching thing up to this block. So this block is magenta, so this row is 3 magenta, same with the next row. The layer after that is 3 black wool. We then have 3 layers of magenta, 1 layer of black wool, and then 4 layers of magenta. So as you can see, it matches up perfectly with the block that's already there at the side. And just in terms of layers, that starts off with a 3 by 4, so 3 tall, 4 wide of magenta, a 1 by 4 of black wool, a 3 by 4 of magenta, a 1 by 4 of black wool, and then a 4 by 4 of magenta just to cap it off. And from the side, very, very plain, but again, perfect and simple. And that is the left side of the arm. Again, right side is the exact same, so we're going to come around to here and do the exact same. Fourth block already done, and whatever it is matches up. So the first 3 layers is magenta, that includes the original layer. The fourth layer is black wool. The next 3 layers is magenta. We then have a layer of black wool, and then 4 layers of magenta, which will bring us all the way up to the top. And again, gives us a 12 by 4, which looks like this. Okie dokie, so you can see here the statue itself is starting to take shape. Of course, it's now 3D, and it's starting to get a bit of character to it. However, if you come around to the rear side, you'll notice not so nice, because there is a big gap, and it's not too complete, of course. So that's what we're going to work on now. We're going to start on the rear side of the legs, then we'll work our way up to the rear side of the body, and then ultimately the rear side of each arm. So we're going to start off on the bottom side. In regards to the rear side of the legs, the rear side of the legs is a 12 by 8. However, the first row and the 8th row are already done, which means 2 of them are done. What we're going to do is take away 2 from 8, and that leaves us with 6 blocks per layer. So all we need to place is 6 magenta per layer. Now I say 6 magenta per layer because the first 8 layers is simply just plain magenta. So we do, as I said, 8 layers. So that's our 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and then ultimately our 8th layer of solid magenta clay. Now for our 9th layer, we're going to do 2 magenta, 2 black wool, and 2 magenta, and as you can see on the front side, we're essentially copying that pattern. For the next layer, we're going to do 1 magenta, 1 black wool, 2 magenta, black wool, magenta, so again, exact same pattern as the front. For the 11th layer, we're going to do 1 black wool, 4 magenta, 1 black wool, and for the final layer, the 12th layer, we do 6 blocks of magenta. As you see, that is a 12 by 8, very plain, but of course it is going to be because you can't actually see the character's legs because there's no such thing. So we're kind of just going on simple guessing work here of what they would look like if they were really a thing. Anyways, moving swiftly along to the rear side of the body. This is where things really get easy. So what we're going to do is essentially, on top of this black wall, we're going to build up 12 using magenta clay. What you do is then link across to the top, and essentially this will just point out where we need to end off, and it should be 12 blocks tall. So this should be our 12th block, and all we're going to do is just build up to match that height, because the rear side of the body is a 12 by 8 of magenta clay. Of course, you never really see the rear side of the characters in the game, which is why this is a thing. It's because we can't see any details, so we're not going to add details for the sake of adding details. I say that, but we are. So I kind of just like said something, but we're going to completely go against it, just on speculation. So as you can see, that is our 12 by 8 of magenta clay. What we're going to do is grab ourselves some pink wool, and this is something I've done with all the Bonnet statues, so don't be thinking it's just for this one. I've done it on every single one. If you don't want to add this, don't, but it only makes sense because Bonnet is of course a rabbit, or a bunny to be more specific. So what we're going to do is come to the bottom left corner of the body, which is essentially the first block of magenta above this black wool. We're going to leave a 1, 2, 3 block gap, so on the 4th and 5th block place 2 pink wool. On the next layer, we're going to place a row of 4, another row of 4, and then a row of 2, so we leave 1, place 2, leave 1. So essentially, you add a bunny tail. If you don't want to add this, feel free not to. I understand it's meant to be like a scary animatronic. If you don't want to add it, that's cool. However, it adds a bit of detail, adds a bit of colour, adds a bit of like contrast to the build, so I like it. And again, a lot of you guys have liked it in the past, on the previous build, so if you want to add it, feel free. If you don't, also feel free to completely ignore I ever mentioned it. Okie dokie, so anyways, that is the rear side of the body. 12 by 8, and if you want to add a bunny tail, a bunny tail. In regards to the rear sides of the arms, again, it's a case of matching up. So, we got the 4th layer already done, or 4th row already done. The first 3 layers is going to be magenta. We then have a layer of black wool, 3 layers of magenta, layer of black wool, and then 4 layers of magenta. So exact same pattern on every single side of the arm. And again, it is a 12 by 4. And same for the right side. 3 layers of magenta, 1 layer of black wool, 3 layers of magenta, 1 layer of black wool, and then 4 layers of magenta. That will bring you all the way up to the top, and again gives you this shape here. So if you want to play around with the rear side and add more detail, you are more than welcome to do so. As I said, there's a reason why I'm not, and that's because we would be speculating on what and what isn't there. However, again, if you want to pause at any point, I'm going to give you the opportunity. This is the rear side of the legs, 12 by 8, the rear side of the body, 12 by 8, and the rear side of each arm, 12 by 4. As I said, feel free to be creative and to change it up a bit, just to play around with it, I guess. But again, I'm not forcing you. This is me showing you what I did. If you want to ignore that, then feel free. If you want to listen to it, also feel free. Okie dokie. So in regards to the shoulder area, what we're going to do is fill it in solid using magenta clay. Most of it's already done, so it's just a case of filling in the gaps either side. And that is essentially the body at this point complete. Of course, we're missing a head. However, we'll come back to that after. What we're going to do now is a little spin around, just to make sure everyone is up to the same point and ready to move on to the next stage. Okay, so what we're going to do for this stage is essentially come to each specific part of the statue, give you guys an opportunity to pause. I'm not going to say that every time because it will drive me mental and it will drive everyone mental. So I'm just going to give you guys a brief second every part to pause the video just by hitting the pause button on the video, of course, and I'm going to give the dimensions. So this is the front side of the leg. That is a 12 by 8. Moving on up, we have the front side of the body, 12 by 8, and the front side of each arm, 12 by 4. Coming around to the left side, we have the left side of the leg, 12 by 4, and the left side of the arm, 12 by 4. Coming around to the right side, we have the right side of the leg, 12 by 4, and the right side of the arm, 12 by 4, again, exact same as the left side. Coming around to the rear side, we have the rear side of the legs, 12 by 8, the rear side of the body, 12 by 8, and the rear side of each arm, 12 by 4, with the little bunny tail as a 3D effect. In regards to the shoulders, that is indeed a 16 by 4 of magenta clay, very plain, but again, that is what we're looking for. Okie dokie, so at this point, again, hopefully everyone is up to the stage and has something in front of them that looks like this. If you don't, go back in the video, that's all I can say, or leave a comment down below and I can try and help you out on a more personalised basis, but again, try your best, see how it goes. In regards to the head, what we're going to start by doing is coming to the front side, of course, and to the front left corner. We're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th block, we're going to place 1 block of magenta and bring it 2 forwards. What we're then going to do is go to the right side and exact same. 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the 5th block, place 1 magenta, bring it 2 forwards. There'll be a 6 block gap in between, so we place 6 blocks for 2 rows, and what this gives us is an 8 by 2 overhang, as you can see right here if I can place it, and that is the front side of, or the front overhang of the head. What we're then going to do is come around to the left side of the head, and we're going to expand 5 blocks backwards. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, exact same with the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and link together in the middle by placing 6 blocks on each row, giving us an 8 by 2 area. In total, that is indeed an 8 by 8 square, and we've got the front side, left side, right side, and rear side. I'm going to build up on each side 1 by 1. Basically, every side is plain apart from the front side, so we'll get that out the way. So, starting off at the front side, the first layer is simply 8 magenta clay. The second layer, we're going to place 1 block of bone, 6 magenta clay, and 1 block of bone. Now again, if you don't want to use bone, feel free to simply use quartz. The next 2 layers we're going to place is 8 blocks of magenta clay. So that is the first 4 layers. Very plain so far, but I'll explain that in a second. The 5th layer we're going to place is 1 block of magenta clay, 1 block of quartz, 1 block of black wool, 2 magenta clay, 1 black wool, 1 quartz, and 1 magenta clay. The 6th layer is 1 magenta clay, 1 block of quartz, 1 lime wool, 2 magenta clay, 1 lime wool, 1 block of quartz, and 1 magenta clay. The 7th layer is 1 magenta clay, 2 black wool, 2 magenta clay, 2 black wool, and 1 magenta clay. And the 8th and final layer is 8 magenta clay. So once you've done that, you'll have an 8 by 8 that looks like this. And it looks nothing like Bonnet, or Bonnie in general. So, this is where a few bits of controversy come through. And I'm going to explain that now. Some people argue that Bonnet's eyes are yellow. If you feel that way, feel free to replace with yellow, either using yellow clay, which would look like this, or by using yellow wool. Either one's cool. Personally, I think it's green, and a lot of the reference images I see is green. So that's one argument out of the way. Second argument, Bonnie or Bonnet does not have eyebrows. These are not eyebrows. That is not what it's representing. It is representing the shadow. However, if I did it properly and made it look like that, it would be too chunky, and in fact, to do a proper shadow, it'd have to look like this. So it'd be way too chunky. It looks awful. So that's why we only put the shadow on the top side. If you don't put the shadow, it just looks like the top of the face is just completely plain, as you can see right here. So just by adding the simple shadow, just makes it look a lot nicer and a lot more detailed. It is not eyebrows. That's not what they're intending to be. Okay, so in regards to the 3D effects we're going to add, because right now it's very plain, we're going to come to the third layer on the left side, and we're going to place 1 red wool, 6 pink wool, and 1 red wool. On top of this, we're going to do a layer of 1 red wool, 2 pink, 2 black, 2 pink, and 1 red. So that is an 8 by 2, and as you can see, that is on the 3rd and 4th layer. What we're then going to do is get our block of bone, or our quartz, and we're going to come to the second layer. On the second block, the 4th block, the 5th block, and the 7th block, we're going to place a block of bone on each one. Now, something I've just noticed is that these bone blocks act almost like logs, so you get the texture on the front when you're placing it. So basically, just place it facing upright so you get the side texture, because it does look a lot nicer. As you can see here, it looks a lot cleaner and a lot more like teeth-like, rather than the inside part of the bone, which is all the marrow and stuff like that. So anyways, as you can see, that's what it looks like. Again, these 4 teeth here are 3D. This one and this one are part of the head. So again, there will be, as you can see, 3, 6 in total. 3 on each side is what I meant to say. And you can use either bone or quartz. It's up to you. Play around with it. With that said, that is the front side of the head complete, and we can now move on to the other side, mainly starting with the left side. So what we're going to do, we've already got the first layer of the template all the way around. Essentially, each side is an 8x8 of magenta clay, so all we're going to do is just build up 7, and we're going to follow it around all the way until we loop around to the front side again. So it's very simple. All we do is just build up 7 each time, follow the outline of the pattern, and then that will just leave us with the top to fill in, but most importantly will give us a solid head. So, if you want to fill in the middle part, feel free. Again, it's up to you. You're not really going to be able to see it, but it could be cool if you added like a brain or something in there. But then with that logic, you'd probably have to add like a endoskeleton into the body, and then things get a tad complicated, so I'm not sure whether I recommend that. But as you can see, it loops all the way around, gives us 3 solid 8x8 squares, and we're going to go ahead and fill the top of the head in using our magenta clay in all the empty area. So I'll show you what we've just done, just to recap, before we go ahead and add the ears, which will be, of course, the final thing we're going to do. So we come to the left side, that gives us an 8x8. Ignore this part, that's a 3D effect, so that is an 8x8. Come around to the rear side, again, 8x8. Left side, did I say left side? Right side, apologies, get my left and right mixed up there. The right side, again, 8x8, and the top side, finally, 8x8. So once you've done that, it ends up looking like this, and it looks a bit like a seal. It always reminds me, for some reason, of like a seal or a walrus, to be more specific, because of the goofy teeth. So what we're going to do is add ears to make it look like a rabbit, or in this case, Bonnet. So we come to the top side, to the front left corner. We're going to leave 1 block, so we go backwards 1, and we're going to go up 1, 2, 3. To the left of that, we go up 3 using pink wool, and to the right of that, what is with my left and right today? To the right of that, we're going to place 3 magenta clay. We leave a 2 block gap, and then we do 3 magenta clay, 3 pink wool, 3 magenta clay. So essentially, it's a 3x3 on each side, and it looks like this. What we're then going to do is, above this, we're going to place a 3x3 of magenta clay. So on top of each one, we place a 3x3 of magenta clay. And then in front of this 3x3 of magenta clay, we're on the left going to place a pillar of 3 magenta. To the right of that, 2 pink, 1 magenta. To the right of that, 3 magenta. So you can see the difference between the left one and the right one currently. On the right side, we're then going to do the exact same. So pillar of 3 magenta, pillar of 2 pink, 1 magenta, and then a pillar of 3 magenta. In total, the ears are 6 blocks tall, and they look like this. However, if you come around to the rear side, they look a bit top heavy. So what we're going to do is come around to the rear side, and we're going to place a 3x3 behind the bottom 3 layers of magenta clay. Essentially, it balances out the weight of the ears, makes them look a bit more diagonal rather than just like rigid and then curved. And essentially, once you've done that, you have built the ears, but most importantly, you have finished the statue tutorial. So with that said, again, I really do hope you enjoyed a bit of a random miscellaneous build today. Again, not a significant character within the series, but definitely one that I wanted to do, and it was fun doing it. So hopefully you enjoyed it. And again, likes appreciated, comments appreciated, any feedback appreciated. With that said, thank you very much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Stay tuned for some more statue tutorials. Lose my voice here, so I'm going to wrap it up fast. Got some house tutorials coming from James or Gibbs Gaming, so stay tuned for that. Apart from that, thank you very much for watching. Until next time, my name has been Gummy, and goodbye.
Pull my heart out of my chest, train my mind so I forget. Sink your teeth into my bones, dig me out, then fill the hole. Tear me apart, and watch it burn. Tear me apart, and watch it burn. All that's left is a window to my soul. Come and get it.